So I got to let you guys know that this is going to be a bit of a self-indulging video. This is a topic that I've bumped up against so many times, not only just with educating producers and reaching out and meeting new musicians and producers for the last couple of years, but also just throughout my entire career dealing with this issue. And it just popped up again. And it's been actually probably about 2 years since I've actually put out a video about this topic. And that is this sort of prevalent thing that goes on with producers and musicians where we tend to complain a lot and criticize a lot and want to tear either other musicians or producers down or just criticize the industry. Just a lot of negative Nancy's basically running around saying how the whole thing is screwed up and it's the untalented that are getting all the deals and all this new modern music sucks and all these artists can't sing. And you've heard all this before. Maybe you've been part of the issue here. You've been part of the problem by spending time complaining about modern music and modern composers. In this video, I'm going to plead with you to please do something more productive with your time. Please don't do that. And not for my sake. I mean, you could do whatever you want to do, but it's actually going to be better for you and in the long run of your career. There's going to be a better use of your time than literally going online or in person and just trash talking other people in the industry, other artists, producers, just modern pop music in general. I know there is tons of room to criticize everything on planet Earth, okay? I'm not saying that, modern music is perfect or that, whatever. You obviously are entitled to your opinions and whatever you feel about music. But this popped up on a Facebook thread that I was following, and I saw nothing but producer after producer, musician after musician, talking trash about modern producers and pop music and how it all sucks and none of these producers know what they're talking about and they shouldn't even be calling themselves producers and all this music that's out there is just garbage, right? Comment after comment after comment after comment. And so I did want to step in and give my 2 cents because they've been giving their 2 cents. So I wanted to give my 2 cents, and my 2 cents basically, and what I wanted to tell them and really what I wanted to make this video for to tell you is that, yes, this is one thing you can be spending your time on, going online and trash talking people you've never met. You don't know what it's like to be in their position. You can dislike their music all you want, but you're spending all this time tearing down something, right? Well, a better thing that you could be doing is making that kind of modern pop music that you think is deserving of an audience, right? So you could become a better, quote unquote, better producer or a more, polished professional, whatever it is that you feel is lacking in the world right now. You could be spending that time becoming that thing, that person that other producers could look up to and emulate, okay? So in the short run, it feels really good to be in a circle of people and everybody's just kind of piling on and trash talking and all that kind of stuff. I understand the temptation of how that can feel good and validating in the short run because other people agree with you with how you feel about the industry. But what that's not doing is you're not separating yourself from the herd, from the masses of people who take the easy route and the emotionally comforting route in the short run, which is just to bash other people, bash the industry, bash all that kind of stuff. The ones that resist that temptation, even though it might feel good in the short run, but decide to not jump on board, not just join the crowd, right? But to instead start making great music or create a new artist or produce or develop a new artist that they feel, hey, this is how you should do it. If you want to make good modern pop music that's high quality and uplifting and motivational or whatever it is you feel is missing from today's world, this is what you could be doing, right? You could be creating that next thing that you want to be and making that change that you want to see in the industry. Those are the people that will own the future, right? Those are the people that actually will create a career for themselves, will actually create a movement around themselves. This is how you're going to create a movement. You're not going to create a movement for yourself and have a really huge name in the business, whatever you want to do. If it's licensing or you're just trying to, climb the charts or just sell your music through social media, you're not going to be creating a name for yourself going out negatively campaigning against other people, right? And just going out and saying, this is why this sucks and this is why that producer sucks and modern music's garbage. Okay, you can get a lot of people that might agree with you for a couple of minutes, but you got to have something that you're offering in exchange, right? Or instead of what you're seeing out there, which is the problem. So being productive, being creative, offering that alternative, becoming that thing that you think is missing in the world. that's going to be a much better use of your time. You're not only going to feel more fulfilled in the long run, you're going to probably push away a lot of negative people that won't do much for your career other than agree with you on these minor, tiny things that don't really matter at all, right? Especially in a comment thread online. This is another reason why I'm not a big fan of a lot of musician and producer based forums, because so quickly it divulges into this sort of like, yeah, well, I think this company sucks, and I think this library sucks, and I think these artists are terrible and these producers are terrible. And then it's just like, yeah, me too. And it's just this Me Tooism that just piles into this rabbit hole of negativity. And it sucks your time, it sucks your energy, and it's not putting you in a place of deciding to, do something more productive with your time. It's really just a time, energy, and a waste of energy entirely. So that's why I have been very, very, you can call it strict, but I've been very closely monitoring what happens in Sync Academy, because I want to make sure that it's positive and productive. Those are the two important things for me. No complaining, no industry bashing, no this sucks, that sucks. We can talk about those things, but there always needs to be in it a thought about, okay, what are you going to do about it, right? Can you change it? If you can't change it, then you need to adjust your strategy and try a different approach. If you can change it, what are you going to do to change it? It doesn't do anybody any good, especially not you, to just point out and be a critic for being a critic's sake, right? What does that do for anybody? Nothing really. And you just kind of bum people out, right? People just don't want to be around somebody who's just constantly pointing out the negative news, right? So I'm doing this just as a plea to some of you. If you have some bitterness, if you have some of this that you've been kind of guilty of, especially online and going through and talking this and that, give yourself a break. Just try not doing that for 1 month. Just for 30 days, don't participate in any of that kind of stuff. And instead, spend that 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is you're spending on these forums or going back and forth, spend it in front of your DAW. Create a really high quality, awesome, amazing track, because the world would do better with that, right? The world needs more of that. It doesn't need more of the critics. You guys know the world doesn't need any more critics, okay? We've got plenty of those. But the world needs, especially in the sync licensing world, the world needs more licensable cues, more uplifting, inspirational cues, more tension cues, hybrid cues, orchestral, whatever it is that you feel you can give and you can provide to this industry. That's what the market needs from you. Not this other stuff, okay? Not this noise and just feeling good about getting, a bunch of people to agree with you about negatively bashing something, okay? So please stop it. Please don't do it anymore. I know most of you guys watching my channel don't do this, and maybe you did in the past, but hopefully as you've been watching a lot of my videos, every time that I report about anything happening in the industry, a trend that I see, some news that's developing, it can be good or bad, but I do want to always think about what can we do about it. If we can't change it, okay, then we got to pick our battles wisely. Maybe that's not something we need to just bang our head against the wall against. We got to figure out a new way to find new avenues to license our music, right? There's going to be certainly coming up with all the new technological innovations, a time and place to start to adjust your strategy. And I will do everything that I can, obviously, to keep on top of all these trends and make sure you guys have at least my take on what's happening and where things are going. But this is what you're going to have to do, okay? You're going to have to just be productive and positive, and in terms of you have to be an optimist in this industry. If you feel that the best days are behind us and there's really no hope for you, please just take this video and today as your get out sort of permission slip, if you needed one, just get out, okay? There's nothing pushing and keeping you in this industry if you don't feel very positive and optimistic about the future of it. There's no point in going forward in something. It's almost like if you feel that way about this industry, it's no different than having a dead-end day job that you just don't like at all, right? It's the same thing. If you feel no future, no growth, there's no possibilities for you, why would you be doing this to yourself? Please don't do that to yourself if you really feel that way. But I think most of you guys do feel that optimism in that sense of purpose, and that this can actually be a path forward for you for not just a couple of years, but literally decades and decades into the future with new avenues, right? TV film is probably not going to be the avenue that carries you through the next couple of decades of your career. We're going to have all these new avenues to license our music. But if you're not positive, if you're not productive, if you're not optimistic about that, and instead every time something changes in the industry you just go around bashing it, just go do something else. You could definitely be spending way more productive time on anything else, literally, other than that. So anyways, hope this didn't come across too preachy to you guys. It does bug me, it does bother me, and it makes me kind of bummed out for people that really participate in this nonsense, because I know in time what's going to happen is they're going to turn into that that kind of old bitter musician producer that's just always like, well, I should have made it, but the industry didn't think, or they didn't see my genius, and it's all the industry's fault. it's really not an attractive story to hear. And I've heard it so many times and it really sucks. And at some point, I think people get to an age where they just can't snap out of that. Like, that's just what they've cemented themselves in. That's the story they've been telling themselves for so long. And there is something about the age process when as you get older, it's harder to make changes, especially to your psychology and the sort of life story that you've told yourself for decades at that point. So, warning from the past into the future, please don't put yourself in that position where you get old and bitter and jaded about this industry, and instead be optimistic, be positive, and I think you'll see much better results for your career.